We are live, brother.
Folks, what is up? Welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. You are here with me and my brother, and we talk all things volunteer sports. Austin, we took a little hiatus, took the week off last week because, folks, good news. I am back in the United States. I'm not
Yes.
quite home yet, but I am back in the United States. And so I'm going to be home soon. So I had to take last week off for that. But we are back, Austin. We got a jam packed show today, brother. We have got a lot to talk about. All three major sports. We're going to be
Yep.
talking some Tennessee baseball. We have won the series against number 4 Texas. We are going to be talking some football because Paul Finebaum had some interesting comments on Josh Heupel, Austin. Some we
Uh,
agree with, some we don't actually agree with. And then we're going to round it out with a discussion on the massive transfer class that Rick Barnes has brought in so far for Tennessee basketball. So, brother, it's going to be a fun show.
yeah, it should be a fun show. We got a lot to talk about. Yeah, like you said, all three major sports. Paul Finebaum had those interesting comments. Ready to get into that, and then this huge series win against Texas, man. That's what I'm mostly looking forward to talking about.
Yes, it's been a fun couple games for the baseball team. They are currently playing right now, so we hope that you've got a dual screen up. If you're joining us for Vol Talk, you got your Vols baseball on one screen, and you got your Vol Talk on the other screen. But yeah, we're gonna be keeping a pulse on the game as we go throughout the show. Austin, last we checked, it was at what, second inning, and we were tied, or what's the latest on the game?
Yeah, I believe it was last I saw it was going into the third 4-4. So might be a lot of offense today, Blake.
Yeah, that's typically how those Sunday games go when we're down to the last starting pitchers. So, yeah, folks, we're gonna be keeping a pulse on the baseball game, but we're gonna review Austin first, the first two games. So we'll get right into that, folks. Listen, if you love all sports, smash that like button for us, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Most importantly, jump in the chat and let us know what your thoughts are on these topics as we go through them. And if you're listening on Spotify, welcome. We thank you as well. Give us a follow on Spotify and give us a rating on Spotify. We would really love that if you could do that for us. But Austin, let's again jump right into these first two games, brother. So you've got some good stats to share with us, especially on game one, brother. Tegan Kuhns, he's in our thumbnail, went
Unreal.
absolutely wild in that first game. And then we also had an explosion of the bats in game two. And so talk us through, Austin. We'll start with game one. Tennessee wins versus Texas in Lindsey Nelson 5-1. Talk us through it, brother.
Yeah, I mean it's a critical win. I mean, we're on the bubble right now as far as getting into the NCAA tournament. It was looking good, but it was like one of those things like if you lose out, like if you lose 3 games to Texas, you get swept and you go lose 3 games to Oklahoma, all of a sudden it could be a situation where we don't actually make it into the NCAA tournament. So it was kind of a must-win situation, at least to get the game one. And Tegan Kuhns, man, that's the story of the game. Like you said, Blake, I mean, we're coming off just a couple weeks ago. The dude goes 8 innings, shuts out Alabama in a complete game as we run roll Bama in another critical series. And then he goes 7 innings against Texas, the number 4 team in the country, and has 15 strikeouts, the most for a Vol since 2005. The most by
Real.
any SEC pitcher this year. He's tied for that. I mean, I think it's his best performance. And Blake, Tegan Kuhns has always had this potential. I mean, he's always had the potential of this Friday ace that just dominates lineups. And we're starting to see it, man. He's starting to actually hit that potential, and it couldn't have come at a better time. It couldn't have come at a better time where, we have these, this team has been inconsistent this year, but I think down the stretch here, it's been better and better. I don't know the Kentucky series didn't go our way, but I think, man, I mean, it might really be finding its stride at the right time. And if we're going to do anything in the postseason, in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament, we're going to need this Tegan Kuhns. We're going to need this Tegan Kuhns, who, by the
Yeah.
way, is as good as any pitcher in the country when he's doing what he did on Friday.
Austin, he literally put the K in Kuhns, man. He
Yes.
got 15 Ks in 7 innings pitched. Just absolutely
Unreal,
wild
man.
stuff. Man, fantastic stuff. Like you mentioned, most since 2005 for the Vols in terms of strikeouts. So you absolutely love to see that. Fun game, Austin. Quick shout out to Lynn in the chat. Welcome,
Yep.
Lynn. He says roll Vols. That's Lynn's signature. He lives down there in Alabama in enemy territory, so he's got to get that roll of balls in there. Welcome, Lynn, and welcome everybody to the show so far. But yeah, man. So okay, we win game 1, and then we go out and win game 2 off of offense, really.
Yep.
And so talk us through that. Talk us through the batting in game 2, and then also the implications for the postseason. Like you said, we're kind of on the cusp, but I mean, beating number 4 Texas in this series,
Probably locks
hopefully
it.
we should be a lock now.
It should lock it. I agree with you. And the bats were the story in game 2, but however, I think another theme of this series and something that, you're starting to see the differences in Elander and Vitello. And I think you could argue some of those differences have been for the better. One thing I'm noticing out of Elander between the Friday game in Tegan Kuhns and the Saturday game with Blanco is that he's letting his pitchers like really, really play it out, man, and get over
Mhm.
100 pitches and stay in there. And despite some shakiness from Blanco, I thought was really good in game 2. If you just look at the box score, you're going to see 5 earned runs in 7 innings and say, well, that's not that great. However, to me, you just listen, and he had a shaky start. There's no question about that. In inning 1 and gave up 3 runs. But outside of that, dude, he was shutting them down. And I thought he had a really good outing. And dude, we needed it. I know game 3 is going on right now, but it's honestly pretty unlikely we win that game because Landon Mack, our third starting pitcher, is out this weekend. We had to start a completely new starting pitcher in a weekend series. We've literally had these 3 guys pretty much the whole year outside of that weird series where we started Arvidsson over Kuhns. But those have been our 3 guys. So we needed game 2. Like if we were going to win the series, game 2 was critical. The announced team was basically bringing up how it's like, they expect Tennessee to basically burn through their pitchers if need be. Now we didn't really need to. Like I said, Blanco started locking it down. And then Appenzeller, man. Appenzeller's a guy I've been super high on, Blake, as you know. He has had a rough couple of weeks, dude. Like really rough. The announcer brought up some stats on the broadcast. I was like, over the last 3 games, like his ERA and stuff, it's been bad. It's been really bad. He's kind of hit like a freshman wall. I would kind of compare it to Levi Clark last year. Levi Clark started off in the lineup and was just electric in the batting lineup last year. And then at some point, dude, he just couldn't find a hit at all. And that can happen to true freshmen. I think that's happened to Appenzeller a little bit. He wasn't great last night. But he ended up taking care of it, man. Like he stayed in the rest of the game, finished the game out. Now, listen, he probably wouldn't have finished the game out if the run support wasn't so good. I mean, you put up, 14 runs, like the run support was insane last night. So yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see how that ends up playing out with Appenzeller. But yeah, kind of like you said, man, the bats were nuts. And I can get into some of that too, but yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Great to see. I mean, honestly, especially because they kind of came out swinging as well. They got up to that quick 3-0 lead, but then we answered right back, and then it was all Vols there. Really from there in terms of our bats. So, and that's what you expect to see out of Elander. Like you've mentioned before. But honestly, talking about letting these pitchers pitch and get that high pitch count. I don't know. I like to see it so far. It's yeah, obviously the results the past couple of games have been good, so we'll see how that continues to play out. Do we have an update, Austin, on, let's see here, what the current score is in the game right now? So the Vols have clinched the series to 2-0 so far. We are currently locked in game 3. What are we looking at, Austin?
I don't have the score in front of me. But I do want to bring up a couple more things from game two. So another interesting change I've seen from Elander is, as far as hitting is concerned, you almost never saw the bunt utilized under Tony Vitello. Like, it really just never happened. But Elander's shown that he's not afraid to use the bunt, dude, and it worked a few times in game two. It actually worked really effectively in game two. It's interesting, man, because like, I've talked to you last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever the last show was, about how, we seem to have like a bad matchup with these small ball teams that use a lot of bunts and things like that against Kentucky, and then that kind of ended up playing out. But now it's like you're adding a little bit of that to your arsenal, and maybe that'll make us better at defending against it. I would hope. In the as far as Elander, maybe he develops into that a little bit more. But it didn't take away anything from this batting lineup, man. I mean, this is game two was the most electric Tennessee batting lineup all year long. I think it was 5 home runs in the game, maybe 6. It was nuts, dude. It felt like a home run derby, to be completely honest with you. Everyone was getting getting a piece. Like, at this point, dude, this batting lineup is insanely dangerous. Like, you have Blaine Brown in the 9 hole, who's like, I mean, dude, in the 9 hole, that's nuts. Like, I know Blaine Brown has struggled at times, but he also has like 13 home runs on the year. Another guy I want to shout out, Blake, is Trent Grindlinger. I brought him up a couple shows ago. He's been DHing for us. He's a true freshman. This dude has been absolutely insane, man. Has been absolutely insane. Trent Greenlinger has completely changed this lineup. He's been batting, I believe, in the 4 hole. And like I said, I think he's completely changed the lineup. And man, I don't know, dude. Like, like we've been saying the last few series, it feels like this team is heading in the right direction. And it also feels like, another thing I've been seeing is that the bats are back, man. I mean, it was kind of, it didn't seem like Tennessee baseball the first half of the year, man. It didn't seem like Tennessee baseball, but now these last few series, they're back, dude. And I love it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's coming at the perfect time, right, as we head into the postseason. So, we want to see these bats stay hot. We want to see this pitching stay hot. Tegan, Kuhns, the whole nine. Thank you, Lynn, in the chat for
The
pulling up
score
the
update.
score here for me. I'm in a bit of a temporary setup, so it was difficult for me to pull up the score there, Lynn. So I appreciate you. But currently, Texas is leading 6-4. Again, we have already clinched the series 2-0 right now is the series. But game 3 currently at 6-4 Texas. But Austin, I mean, if again, we were down in game 2 yesterday, and came back pretty convincingly. So I'm not worried if these bats can stay hot. Man, you mentioned, Austin, we already got a grand slam this
Yep.
game so far. So love to see that. Absolutely. Well, folks, if you're just joining us, welcome. We hope you will jump in the chat. Let us know what you think about Tennessee baseball so far, heading into the postseason. Like Austin was talking about, getting hot at the right time, hopefully. And so, man, Austin, any other thoughts on this Texas series thus far? We've got one more series, one SEC series left, brother, in Oklahoma,
against
Texas's
Oklahoma
rival. So.
Yeah, one last thing. This might, to be honest, this might piss you off, Blake. It kind of did me a little bit when they told the story on the broadcast. So Brandon Arvinson, who, by the way, I didn't give him a shout out. He actually gave us 3 good innings on Friday. But anyway, he was hyping the team up. Basically guaranteed the win for the team on heading into game 2, which, I like the leadership. That's not my problem. My problem with it is, to hype the team up, Blake, he played a video of Nick Saban giving a hype speech. Nick Saban, before one of their national championships. It's hard to figure out which one, but one of their national championships, he showed a video of Saban giving a speech to the team. I'm like, man, you couldn't find Phil Fulmer, or something, like, you know what I mean? I mean, Phil Fulmer has the one against Kentucky, Blake. That's real good. It's like, why don't you throw Phil Fulmer on or something, dude? You had to throw Saban on?
Look, I can't even fathom that, man. Why would you play anything Alabama? I get it. If you're trying to hype up your team or whatever. I mean, shoot, I would sooner you play Kirby Smart and his hype speeches before you'd play Nick Saban in Alabama, though. So Lord, yeah, but you're right. Philip Fulmer has plenty of good ones. I mean, shoot, I'm sure Tony V has some good ones that they
Yeah.
probably have recordings of on their phone. So
Mm-hmm.
man, that is frustrating. But you're right. Arvidsson did have. We did forget to shout him out. I mean, Kuhns had 15 strikeouts in 7 innings, and then Arvidsson came
Added
in 2
4.
innings and had another 4. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just another fantastic outing from Arvidsson as well. So. Huge stuff, brother. Again, baseball team getting hot at the right time. What do you think? What do you make of this upcoming Oklahoma series as we head into the postseason? Any thoughts as we kind of round out the regular season here?
I think as far as like getting into the postseason, you need to avoid getting swept. We've done a really good job of that this year. Avoid getting swept. Like we had the 2 awful games to start against Kentucky, and then we picked up game 3. I think as long as you can pick up 1 against Oklahoma, you should be good heading into the SEC tournament. Obviously, you'd love to win. You'd love to win today. You'd love to sweep Texas or whatever. But I think, man, this is the kind of team. It's like, if when they get into the postseason, like we're not going to be hosting or anything like that this year. We just have slipped up too many times. But it's not going to be a team you want to see in your bracket, dude. I mean, this team can. I think Tennessee, when it's playing its best baseball, can beat anyone in the country, maybe outside of UCLA, because UCLA is just insane this year. But outside of them, I really feel like in the SEC tournament or in the big dance, like you've got a team on your hands that can really beat anyone and can upset, maybe win a regional despite not hosting it. But yeah, so in Oklahoma, really just need 1 game, I would say, to be really safe. Obviously I want to win the series, but I think pick up that 1 game, we should be good to lock ourselves into the NCAA tournament.
Open for that lock into the tournament for sure. We definitely want to continue postseason success here, especially in Elander's first season. Want to set that tone in his first season. So, folks, we're going to keep a pulse on the baseball team. Again, we hope that you've got the Texas game up on one screen and your Vol Talk on the other screen here. And we're going to see how this Texas game ends today, but we've already won that series. And then we'll head into this final SEC series in Oklahoma, and then the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament after that. So we're going to continue to keep you guys updated on the baseball team. Austin, now we're going to transition back to football, baby. We love football, and we are specifically going to talk right now about an interesting little segment that Paul Finebaum had talking about Josh Heupel. Austin, well, do you have the clip? Are we going to play the clip for the good folks?
We have the
Okay,
clip.
so we're going to play this clip, folks. The context is he brought up Josh Heupel and his thoughts on Josh Heupel and the trend of the program under Josh Heupel currently. Austin, let's roll it, and then we'll discuss.
I bring Josh Heupel up. I like him. He has made the playoffs 1 time, but he's been there, 4 or 5 years, and it feels like the program is going in the wrong direction. That should not happen, and it's a very bad sign for a name brand program. And maybe I'm old school enough to still believe that Tennessee is one of those schools that should always be at or near the top. But the end of last season was a complete disaster, losing at home to Oklahoma. And they also lost at home to Vanderbilt. Badly lost a bowl game. It was you can't let that happen. And then they got some bad luck in court losing Aguilar, but they don't have a quarterback. And you guys all tell me how you can win in the SEC without a quarterback.
Yeah, so he said a lot of interesting things there, Blake, I would say. And to be honest, dude, listen, the takes online from Vols fans in regard to this video were very one or the other. They were like, "Oh, Finebaum's a complete idiot. He's a Vol hater," or "Wow, Finebaum's a genius. Like we need to fire Heupel tomorrow." I think honestly, in this situation, there's some of it I agree with, and there's some of it I disagree with. I guess we can start with the things we agree with. Blake, we've been pounding the table about something that Paul said there, which is Tennessee football, Tennessee in general shouldn't take a backseat to anyone. I mean, this isn't a chump program. It really isn't, dude. And especially in this day and age of college football, you shouldn't just accept mediocrity because because somebody down the line or somebody before you hired idiots like Jeremy Pruitt, Derek Dooley, and Butch Jones. Like, those coaches would have failed anywhere. You could have hired those coaches at Alabama and they were going to fail, Blake, because they're bad coaches. They were bad hires. It doesn't have anything to do with Tennessee as a program itself. And listen, Finebaum lived through the 90s, man. Finebaum lived through the 80s and the 70s. Like, he saw Tennessee football at its absolute peak. He covered Tennessee football at its absolute peak, Blake. Like, he knows that Tennessee football can be and should be one of the premier programs in college football. And so I think Finebaum, nailed it with that. I mean, he really did. And he also said that the end of last year was unacceptable. I totally agree. We said the exact same thing. In fact, Blake, if I remember correctly, on our thumbnail in the Vanderbilt game, we had in big bold letters, unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. And because it was unacceptable, Blake.
Yes. Yeah. And I am 110% on board, exactly like you said, with, Paul's assessment that, Tennessee, he even said, call me old school, but, I still believe Tennessee is a top program and shouldn't, be kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, and should be either at the top or near the top. And look, it's 100% correct. And you're going to have some people that are going to say, okay, well, it's a new college football where new college sports in general, where NIL has made it to where the former, blue bloods or the former, top programs in the country it's no longer as relevant, right? Because I mean, look at Texas Tech, right? Texas Tech is nowhere near a perennial program, but all of a sudden that oil money comes in and they're competing in the top of the country. And so that much is true, Austin, but here's the kicker with that is that Indiana and Kurt Signetti proved last year that A, you can win without the best recruiting classes, but B, that, it shows that, look, the coaching matters.
Yes.
And in addition to the NIL. And so when you combine honestly, Austin, I think NIL only strengthens Paul's point here, because it's like, okay, when you combine the fact that, okay, Tennessee can go out there and now should be able to compete relatively well with, we still don't have quite as much money as, say, your Alabama or your Texas, but we've got money. And so you can go out there and compete and buy and pay those good players, those good recruits. And the fact that you have the history and the prestige of Tennessee, and the fact that, I mean, how many top draft picks have we had, Austin, and first rounders? How many players have we put in the NFL? We just talked on our Mount Rushmore show about the fact that Tennessee is home to two of the greatest football players on the planet in the history of Earth, right? And so when you combine the history of Tennessee with NIL, it just proves Paul's point even more, Austin, that we should not be scraping the bottom barrel. We should be at or near the top.
I mean, I agree with you. And honestly, you threw Bama into that list of teams that have more money. I would push back. I don't think Bama does have more money. I think there's only a few SEC schools where we'll take a back seat to an NIL. Now there are a few, and listen, that is a big factor here. That's a huge factor. But to your point, dude, coaching matters. It 100% matters. And listen, that's where I think Heupel agrees with Finebaum. And this kind of gets into where I kind of disagree with Paul, is Heupel also agreed it was unacceptable last year. So the fans pushing back, it's like Heupel agrees with what Paul said there. Now, he might not agree with everything Paul said, but he at least agrees with the fact through Heupel's actions that the end of last year was totally unacceptable. Because what did he do? Right. He fires the strength coach. He fires the defensive coordinator. He fires the cornerbacks coach. Like, we really cleaned house as far as the coaching staff's concerned, Blake. So he clearly thought that changes needed to be made. And that's where I would push back on Paul a little bit. It's like, I wonder how much Paul has been really paying attention. Like, he covers all 14 teams in the SEC, or excuse me, now it's 16 teams. I'm living in like 2020 or whatever, for Texas and Oklahoma. 16 teams in the SEC. He covers all of them. So how much has he been paying attention to the changes that Heupel has made? That's where I would push back, because like, we can all, I think we should all agree that the program took a step back in 2025, or at least maybe outside expectations were met. But if you really look at it, you really look at the games, you could say, hey, this team could have won more games in 2025. But Heupel responded to that and made changes that I think, and I'll have a stat here I'll share with you in a second, Blake, that kind of proves that out, especially from a strength and conditioning scenario. I'll be honest, dude, I was a little bit late on the strength and conditioning thing, but the more information that comes out and the more I think about last season and how it ended against Vanderbilt, my eyes have been totally open to it. I'm like, yes, I totally see now why the strength and conditioning was a huge issue, and Heupel responded to that in possibly the best way you could. I mean, a guy in Derek Owings that completely changed Indiana and changed their bodies and made them one of the most physical teams in the entire country. Blake, I mean, I don't know if you remember. There might have been one of the shows you were off, but dude, just a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago at this point, they were showing like what they're feeding the players now. And it's like these massive like New York strip steaks, these lobsters, like all this.
Lobster tail,
which by the way, looks pretty good on a random Wednesday. You get to just have a buffet style of some of the best food out there, like lamb chops and everything. That seems pretty good. But it wasn't that stood out, Blake. It's the fact that people were coming out and saying, yeah, that's a lot better than the chocolate fountain that they had before Derek Owings got there. Like they had like chocolate fountain, Golden Corral style. What are we doing? Like, get that out of the facility. Like, what? That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. The night and day difference.
Except for maybe GMAC. Maybe give it to GMAC.
Yeah. GMAC needs the way any way he can get it. But Blake, I think from what at least the propaganda that Tennessee football was putting out, that the results we're already seeing. So they posted a little graphic from a 14-week training program from January to May. The team muscle mass has been plus 867 pounds and minus in fat 218 pounds. I don't know if that's normal, but to me, in a 14-week program, in a single offseason, that doesn't seem normal at all. That seems like absurd. Now, I don't have anything to compare it to, but hey, all I know is they weren't bragging about that last offseason. They weren't bragging about that with the last strength and conditioning coach. We weren't seeing pictures of all the nice steak, lamb chops, lobster. We weren't seeing that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, I think Heupel has made some good decisions in the offseason that maybe Paul could have at least acknowledged and said, hey, like we took a step back last year. However, Heupel has responded to a lot of the issues and have fixed a lot of the issues with what I thought were home run hires in Jim Knowles and Derek Owens.
Yeah, so far, at least in the offseason, it looks like they're home run hires. And yeah, it is an absolutely insane stat. 867 pounds of muscle, 200 plus pounds of fat lost, and just, a few months is, pretty nuts. Who knows? Maybe the statisticians over there at UT are maybe kind of fudging numbers a little bit. Speaking of chocolate fountains, I don't know. They're doing a little bit of that, but no doubt. I mean, it's a national championship winning strength and conditioning coach in Derek Owings. So, we're excited to see the results of that. And I think you're hitting the nail on the head in terms of, look, Heupel, I guess it doesn't really change what Paul is saying in terms of, he's worried about the trend, right? Because, he says, look, we went to the playoffs and then we've been kind of trending down since then. And that is a little concerning, right? You and I have talked about that. We have talked about Heupel in that situation. We've talked about how Heupel needs to turn that corner and start trending up again and go from good to great. But your point is, hey, Heupel has come in and he has made those changes.
So let's see how they play out.
Exactly. Shout out to Backflip Spaghetti here in the chat. Welcome, Backflip Spaghetti. Good to see you, buddy. So he says, it makes a great point, Austin, with 2025, that 2025 was only 2 plays away from being completely different. Yes, but then also, right, I mean, you've got to you've got to be on the other end of those, or you've got to be in a situation where you don't have to be dependent on 2 plays to
Yeah.
change your season. But and then Backflip says the player privilege is legit with those steak and lobster dinners,
no
doubt.
doubt, dude. No doubt.
No
Sign me up
doubt.
for that every day on a random Wednesday, getting steak and lobster. That's absolutely
No,
ridiculous.
no kidding. But Austin, let's also talk about the last kind of portion that I think you and I kind of both disagree with Paul a little bit in this clip, which is the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And him saying we don't have a quarterback. Look, so it's possible that what he means is that, okay, you don't have a chosen quarterback. Yeah, we don't
Which
have
is
a
true.
starter yet. Okay, that's true. Or maybe or possibly he means we don't have a proven quarterback yet, which is also true, right? Because we've got GMAC who has not started, and then we've got Faison Brandon, who is a true freshman and first time in the SEC, first time in college. So he could mean those things, but at face value, Austin, he says we don't have a quarterback. The thing is, we don't know what our quarterback play is going to be this year. It could be great. So, I mean, we do have two potentially great players who could start for us.
Yeah. That's the part of the video I really disagreed with, because it just bothers me that it's like everyone, it feels like craps on NIL, and for good reason. Like, I don't like the state of the NIL. I don't like the state of the transfer portal. But you have a program in Josh Heupel in Tennessee that has decided to recruit the quarterback position out of high school, develop them, and have a quarterback competition between, as you said, Faison Brandon and second-year player George McIntyre. It's like, how can you criticize? I don't understand how you can criticize that. They recruited the guys to play eventually. Like, and obviously we wanted Joey back, and obviously it goes without saying that it's a mystery. It's a box with McIntyre and Faison. You don't know what's in the box yet. You haven't seen them in SEC play. But to say you don't have a quarterback, it's like you wouldn't say that about a left tackle you recruited as a freshman.
Right.
Like, you didn't say that last year when we recruited David Sanders to play tackle. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, at some point, the guys you recruit are going to be the guys you play. And so I think we do have a quarterback. And to also, like, and to say, well, it's not a decided quarterback battle yet. I mean, we just went through that last year, Blake. I mean, technically Aguilar wasn't the starter on paper until August. So why? I mean, that just feels, that's ridiculous. I think from Heupel's perspective, like, he's a former college quarterback. He's going to let a competition play out. Like, the only scenario where there's not a quarterback competition at Tennessee is if there's a returning starter. Like, if Aguilar came back this year, for example, if there's a returning starter who's obviously going to be the guy, like, he's obviously going to be the guy they choose. That's the only way Heupel's not going to call it a quarterback battle. So, listen, I think we do have a quarterback. It is unknown, and that's a fair criticism. But to assume it's going to be bad just because it's unknown, it's kind of ridiculous, because it could be great. I mean, it could be great.
Correct.
And, we just won't know yet until they play. So I'd have to say, listen, let the quarterback thing play out and let this season play out, because I think,
Yes.
Between what I hear from our listeners, what we talk about, what me and my buddies talk about, what I see on Twitter, this year is clearly a critical year for Josh Heupel and his staff. Like, it's a very critical year. It's especially from the quarterback position. We'll see how his handpicked guys do, whether it's Faison or whether it's McIntyre. And we'll see the improvements that get made on defense and from the strength and conditioning perspective, because, listen, I think what I'll say about Heupel is, even though I think I agree with you and Paul that it's hard to disagree that you took a step back. Like, you took a step back last year, even though I felt like, kind of like Backflip's been saying, there's been winnable games, very winnable games. But the problem with that is I think a lot of those were not won because of coaching. That's the big problem. However, I think Heupel's offseason has been good. Now, we won't know that until we see it, right? Like we don't know the results of it until we see it. However,
Right.
I'm more of a process guy over results. And the process of this offseason, in my opinion, has been really good from Heupel's perspective. Now, it won't matter if it doesn't result in wins. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's been good in my opinion so far. We'll see how it plays out though.
Well, it's better than him not making changes and him, if we after the absolute buckling of the defense last year,
Yeah.
and the things that happened towards the end of the season versus Oklahoma and Vanderbilt in particular, then obviously it would be more concerning if he didn't make changes on defense. But you're right. He's made those changes. He's, trying to improve and get us on the right track, back on the right track and trending in the right direction, despite the step back. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the season holds. I'll tell you this: we do need to take, despite the SC schedule, despite everyone saying, "Oh, it's going to be a tough schedule because of 9 SC games and all of that." Get that tracking, got it. But Austin, we can't win 7 games or less. I'll tell you that much, brother. We cannot win 7 games or less,
which is the projection at the moment.
So exactly. So we will definitely see after the season plays out whether Paul Finebaum is correct in his assessment or whether he's being a little hasty. One way or another, Austin, he got it mostly right. Look, we got to trend back in the right direction because Tennessee belongs at or near the top, brother. So, folks, let us know in the chat and in the comments what you think of Paul Finebaum's comments and in this kind of video that we've been talking about here. We appreciate Backflip in the chat here, giving us his thoughts. Lynn in the chat as well, giving us his thoughts. We appreciate you guys. Jump in the comments as well and let us know what you guys think. But Austin, now we are going to shift to kind of the last big topic of the moment, which is basketball, Tennessee basketball. And man, talk about a big moment for Rick Barnes and the men's basketball team, brother. We are looking at an absolutely massive transfer class.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about this incoming class. We are pretty much replacing virtually the entire team. We're returning 2 scholarship starters, or I'm sorry, not starters. We're returning 2 scholarship players who were bench players. And so it's, obviously we got to come out here and build a team. But Austin, Rick Barnes has done it in spectacular fashion, and it appears that he was given a blank check to be able to do it because we have an absolutely loaded roster and a loaded budget for this roster. So, brother, talk us through what we've got in this transfer class so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you said there is right. I mean, listen, we are replacing the whole team. That was partly necessity. We lost a lot of players to the portal, but I think at the end of the day, Blake, a lot of those guys we probably made offers to, but we weren't going to overspend on guys that we thought weren't going to bring the team forward. I think the one guy we really wanted from last year's team was Ament, and of course he ended up declaring for the draft, as we kind of fully expected would happen. But you're right about the blank check, man. And there was reported kind of as the portal was starting to open for basketball and guys started to commit that, hey, the report is that Danny White's given Rick Barnes all the investment. Like Rick Barnes is the guy he's going all in on and saying, hey, you've been on the doorstep of a Final Four the last 3 seasons, making it to the Elite 8. Here's the blank check to get over the hump. And I mean, Barnes was able to get the guys. I mean, it worked out. It's an $18 million roster, Blake, reportedly 18 plus million. The transfer portal class is ranked second in the country, right behind Louisville, first in the SEC. And keep in mind, people, I mean, we're coming off a year where Michigan won a championship this way, building their team through the portal. I think it's the new way to win in college basketball. I mean, you have all these old school coaches, like the old Kentucky guy that's at Arkansas now. I can't think of his name. Calipari, who's moaning and groaning. Oh, man, we got to face 25-year-olds. And, I like to recruit, 18-year-olds. And it's like, well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I agree with a lot of what he's saying, but you have to adapt or die. And that's kind of the name of the game in this NIL transfer era, man. And nobody likes it. I can't find a single person on the face of the planet a lot that likes it, but it is the way it is, dude. But to kind of just go over some of the names, Blake, I think the headliner is Juke Harris, who's probably going to play the
Duke Harris,
three.
yeah.
Juke Harris was a massive pickup. He was the last guy we were targeting. He was kind of the prize of the portal, and we beat Louisville out for Juke Harris, which is massive. So Juke Harris is going to kind of be the guy from this class, probably our main offensive weapon. But dude, as you said, we had to rebuild the whole roster, and right now the projected starters are all portal guys. They got Terrence Hill at the 1, Tyler London Blade at the 2, as I said, Juke Harris at the 3, and then Jalen Harlison and Miles Rubin at the 4 and 5. So fully loaded transfer portal. I mean, listen, it's very concerning because I brought up the Michigan example, but it's also what Kentucky did last year, and Kentucky was really bad last year. This can go. I think it's a very wide range of outcomes how this could play out, Blake, because I'm always concerned with you bring in a full roster of guys that have never played together. I'm always concerned about continuity.
Right.
I think that's a fair concern.
Yeah.
You literally have essentially no continuity at all, as you mentioned, with only 2 returning players from the roster, and they were role players. I think Brown will make an impact this year. He'll be in the rotation, but he's not even a projected starter. So hopefully he's a culture guy. Hopefully he can get the guys on board with Rick Barnes' culture. That's because Rick Barnes is a different kind of coach. He's more of an old school kind of coach, coaches guys hard. But I think they honestly, at the end of the day, I know the check helps, but I don't think they would have come here if they didn't want to be coached hard. And we've kind of seen that from like really high profile portal targets in the past. Like, I mean, Dalton Connect comes to mind. Chaz Lanier comes to mind. 2 guys who were really sought after transfer portal guys, but they wanted to be coached hard. And that's the kind of guys Rick Barnes targets. So I'm assuming that's what he did this year as well. At least I'm hoping. But at the end of the day, I still think that, like, hey, this could go really, really well, and this could end up in Rick Barnes making that Final Four that he hasn't been able to do at Tennessee, and us all being very happy that we get that monkey off our back so we can stop getting trolled by Kentucky fans. Or it could go really poorly because none of these guys have played together. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm hopeful. I mean,
Same.
to kind of speak to Backflip's question in the chat here, says, talking about the top 5 teams that had all kind of starting 5 transfer, or all of their starting 5 were transfers. As you mentioned, Michigan and the current national champions.
Dominant national champions.
They were very transfer heavy. They were dominant. They were like literally just dominated the tournament, and they were transfer. I don't think, Austin, I don't know if all 5 of their starters were transfers, but I know they were transfer heavy, right? And so, look, it's kind of changing up from Rick Barnes, what he has been kind of used to, what we've been used to in terms of defense heavy. As you mentioned, these players are kind of leaning offense heavy. I mean, you've got, again, in Juke Harris, the big name from Wake Forest. I mean, he averaged 21.4 points per game and 6.5 rebounds per game averaged. So, man, just absolutely phenomenal stuff from him. And then, as you mentioned, other kind of role players and people plugging in to the rest of the roster there. You got Terrence Hill Jr. with 15 points a game as well, coming over from VCU. So, honestly, it's going to be interesting to see that I think, Austin, that's the thing that excites me and worries me, is kind of this transition to a focus on offense. Right now, Rick Barnes, as you mentioned, he's going to coach him hard, and I guarantee you he's still going to require them to play some defense.
Exactly.
Right?
And exactly.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. But it is interesting, Austin, this shift to throwing the bank at going out and getting these offensive guys.
Yep. I agree. It's definitely a difference in strategy, it seems like. But I'm curious because we kind of talked about this before the show, Blake. It's like, it seems like they're changing things up, which I love because at the end of the day, Rick Barnes has shown he can run a great program, a consistently great program in a year where we thought in the beginning of the year we had no shot to go to the Elite Eight last year. Rick Barnes finds a way,
Yeah.
but we all want to get over that hump. We know what this is. Like, we understand, we would be forgiving of a bad season if it meant we have a chance at a Final Four. That's what everyone wants here on this campus. So I think it's smart for them to switch it up. Why would you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? But at the same
Yep.
time, it's also one of those situations where I wonder if Rick Barnes wanted to do this in the past, but he just didn't have the investment. I mean, this is the first year where they, like you said, man, they genuinely, it seems like they gave Rick Barnes a blank check and said, hey, go get you a $20 million roster. And Blake, if you remember, and we've talked a lot about Danny White, and not all good things either. Hopefully the stream's up. Okay, stream's good. Sorry, my thing's tricking me over here. Anyways, Danny White, we've talked about he's a rule follower and whatever. If you remember, what was it, 2 summers ago or a summer ago at this point? It's all running together for me. The court ruling on this NIL stuff basically gave a suggested, roster salary cap for each sport. They're like, hey, this percentage goes to football, like 75% or whatever go to football, 20% or whatever goes to basketball, whatever. And I think for a couple years, Danny White thought, hey, we got to follow this. Like, we have to follow this to a T. Otherwise, we're going to get in trouble. Well, clearly there has been no repercussion for that whatsoever. I mean, we have college football teams spending $40 million on their teams, man. I mean, nobody is following those salary cap suggestions. I see no teams following that whatsoever. And I think, hopefully Danny White has finally woken up and realized the rules don't actually matter. That's not a legit thing. And it kind of showed with this basketball portal class because, Blake, I mean, I think it was like $5 million allocated to men's basketball at some point. But that's clearly what's not that's not happening this year. They said, here's $20 million. Go make the absolute best out of it, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know how that's going to impact the other sports because that's about what we were spending in football. I think we were spending like 25 in football. So I don't know how much that's going to impact that or what. But listen, I think I said that, I might have said this already, but if there was a coach I was going to invest in, if I was going to put all my chips in on one coach here on campus right now, it'd be Rick Barnes. Obviously, he's been the most consistent. He's the most accomplished. So yeah, I like putting our chips in on Rick Barnes.
Yeah, I agree with Backflip Spaghetti in the chat. I want that national championship, man, or at least to get that monkey off our back in terms of the Final Four, like you mentioned. So, yeah, let's give them a blank check and go out there and get the top. Right now, we're looking at the number 2 transfer class in the whole country. Of course, this might also be. I mentioned this to you before we started recording. It might also be Danny White kind of. He's trying to make some amends for losing a national championship winning baseball coach and, not having a pretty bad offseason thus far. Danny White's coaches have, with the exception of, again, we mentioned, Heupel and the changes that he made, but we won't rehash all of that. But, maybe Danny White's trying to get back in the good favor of Tennessee fans and get out there and hopefully get us at least a Final Four in men's basketball, if not possibly a national championship. We'll see how Rick Barnes can get this team together, man. I think you hit the nail on the head with the key being the continuity, the lack of continuity. And so how can Rick Barnes bring these guys together and get them prepared under his system quick, right? Because I think part of what we saw last year was, there was kind of a lack of continuity last year as well. And we saw it, throughout the season. We really didn't start clicking until tournament time. And so can Rick Barnes get these guys ready sooner is I think going to be key.
It is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I do think a lot of that was just Nate Amit's development. Like it was very clear he was a very young 18-year-old freshman last year in the SEC at some point, but then he finally developed his game and looked like the recruit, even though there was still inconsistency at the time, but it looked like the recruit that we thought we were going to get at the end of the year. So But yeah, you make a good point. I think, but honestly, dude, I will say my counterpoint to my own point about the lack of continuity. If there's one coach in college basketball I would trust to with that task, it would be Rick Barnes. I mean, I think he's that good of a head. Again, I'll go back to last year where we thought we were dead in the water, dude. We did. We thought we were dead in the water. Even after the SC tournament, like we had the one good game against Auburn in the SC tournament, and then it just completely fell off. So it was kind of a miracle that he turned that into an Elite Eight team last year. And now there's no question to me that the talent on this year's team is much greater. It's much more deep. Each starter was really a sought after guy in the portal for most teams. Like this team is probably on paper Rick Barnes' potentially most talented team that he's been given. But again, to your point, how quickly can he get that to gel together is really the main question. But listen, I'm with you, dude. I am overall extremely optimistic about next basketball season because I think Rick Barnes is up to the task, dude.
Yeah. I agree. We're going to keep a pulse on it, folks. We're going to continue to watch the offseason here for Rick Barnes and the men's basketball team. And, of course, we'll also try to keep an eye on the Lady Vols and see if Kim Caldwell can right that ship. We're going to continue to keep a pulse on all the sports during the offseason. But
I'm not upset that Danny took her funding away. I'll just say that. I'll just say that right now. I think he's made the right decision where he's putting the money.
Yeah, give it to Rick.
Yeah,
give it to Rick.
Give it to anyone but her.
Get out there and get a Final Four and a national. yeah. We're still hopeful that she can turn it around, but we'll see. Jury's out for sure.
Maybe you're still hopeful. I'm not.
Folks,
hopeful.
It's been a good show, fun show again. I'm hopeful because I want Tennessee to win. So I know you do too. But whoever it is, whether it's Kim Caldwell or someone else, hopefully we can right the ship. But folks, again, it's been a fun show. We appreciate you all jumping in the chat, especially Backflip Spaghetti and Lynn, keeping the chat going there for us. So we thank you guys for that. If you're listening after the live show or if you're listening on Spotify, drop us a comment and let us know what you think of Rick Barnes' transfer class and what you're most excited to see about this transfer class this upcoming basketball season or anything that we've talked about. If you're just joining us for the live show, you can rewind and you can watch our review of the Texas-Tennessee baseball series, and you can also watch our kind of review of Paul Finebaum's comments on Josh Heupel and what he's been feeling about the direction of the Tennessee football program. So go back and rewatch that. And again, let us know in the comments what you guys think about all those things. But brother, it's been a fun show. We're going to continue to bring some off-season content about football as well as basketball if any other news drops there. But we're definitely going to be keeping a pulse on baseball as we head into the postseason. So, folks, we hope you all will join us for those future shows as we review and preview Tennessee Vols baseball as we head into the SEC tournament and NCAA tournament. And, folks, we will see you all on those shows. Until then, as always, baby, go freaking Vols.
GBO.